With Benjamin's recommendation, entering the national system would be a piece of cake. Yet Wilbur merely smiled and said, "Master Grayson, I'm used to the quiet life now. I have my own affairs to handle too. I've got my hope you won't push me into this." Benjamin sighed softly. "Every man has his goal, and I won't give you a hard time. I just hope your heart stays loyal to the nation." Wilbur's brows furrowed slightly, and he understood the implication of Benjamin's words. "Don't worry, Master Benjamin." He then turned to leave. Walking towards his house, Benjamin watched his leaving figure until it disappeared from his sight before turning around and heading back inside. Wilbur returned home to the side of Faye leaning against a sofa in a skimpy nightgown. She had fallen asleep. The neckline of the nightgown had fallen open, and it was a view too much to handle. Wilbur took one glance and fled to his room at once. The next morning, Wilbur woke up and got ready before going downstairs to the living room. Faye had gone to work, so he went out for a quick breakfast before coming home to meditate. Yet just as he had gotten into his headspace, the phone rang. Seeing that it was a call from Nancy, he picked it up at once. "Hello, Nancy." "Hi, Wilbur. Did I call you at a bad time?" "Nancy, we're friends. You don't have to be so formal all the time." Well, I'd like to ask you out to lunch. Do you think you've got time for that?" Nancy's voice replied cautiously. Wilbur answered at once, "Of course, give me the time and place, and I'll be there." "That's great. Starspeak Restaurant this noon. How's that?" "I'll be there on time." "Thank you, Wilbur." Nancy ended the call. Nancy had been his classmate in the past, and she had always been a great person. She was especially kind to Wilbur, and she had practically helped him with most of his homework back then. He understood what Nancy's intentions were with asking him to lunch, but found that he could never say no to an invitation from Nancy. A while later, he readjusted himself and began meditating once again. The clock struck 11:30. Nancy sat in Starspeak Restaurant, clearly a little uneasy. It was a fancy restaurant, one that she had hesitated for a long time before choosing. Her financial situation would deem her coming to a place like this a little irresponsible if she was being honest. Her father passed away many years back, and her mother was sick and unable to work. She had a younger brother in high school, and she was the sole breadwinner of the family. She had always lived a frugal life and would hesitate to even buy a piece of clothing. Yet ever since she became the general manager of the Willow Corp Mall, her salary had multiplied greatly overnight with countless new benefits that had greatly reduced her financial burdens. She knew that Wilbur was the one behind all of that, thus, she chose this restaurant thinking of thanking him. However, the sight of the prices on the menu made her gulp uneasily. Just then, she heard a voice say, "Nancy, you're here too?" Nancy turned around and saw that it was the high school prom queen Cindy. She had her arm wrapped around another young foreign man's. Nancy frowned in confusion. Did Cindy just change her boyfriend? Just then, Cindy walked up to Nancy and whispered, "Wow, who are you out on a date with?" "And no, I'm not." Nancy waved her hands hurriedly. "I'm just having lunch with a friend." "A friend? Who is it? Do I know him?" Cindy prodded. Nancy had no choice but to respond in a feeble voice, "It's Wilbur." "Him?" Cindy raised her voice at once. "Are you out of your mind? Going on a date with that broke nobody?"